thought I would start by just noting that the film won the Silver Bear at the Berlinale this year for Best Screenplay. And there was, you saw the speech, I know, in Radu Judah, the filmmaker, who we're also showing here, when he announced the award, he said, he had a little speech about how screenplays are bookkeepers' inventions. He called them instruments of control, that they were introduced just to keep track of like what people put into films from a financial perspective. And he said that the great films go against this idea of the screenplay as an instrument of control. So I'm just curious, what is the screenplay to you? And what was the screenplay like for this film?
So this is a quite nice opportunity for me to answer, because I wasn't at the award ceremony because I had corona, so I saw it in the television. And he said, as an example, what you describe, as example for what you describe is that then it's important if in a screenplay is played if you have 2 bananas in an image or 10. So this is how then people read it, and then how they then decide if they want to finance or not. And this is so completely ridiculous. So it should, not be, the author should not be reduced on these questions. And then I heard that and I thought, does he talk about my film? So, and then I was very, I felt, I would have loved to be there to answer that. For me, it's very important if there's 1 banana in the image or 10. But nevertheless, I'm very thankful for the prize. I am very thankful. But yeah, it was somehow I understood, and somehow, yes, it's complex. It's somehow complex. But for sure I understand, and I agree that this process of financing, which is based on reading a script, is very complicated, and that I got this screenplay prize for a script which for years no one wanted to fund. It's nice.
So what did this, I'm curious how the script read. I mean, because for like the first half hour of the film, it's like practically wordless, right? And people associate scripts with speech and spoken language. But how precise are you when writing a scene, like a shot? You know,
so the script is, as you can imagine, quite short, because there are no dialogues. And I wrote down more or less what you see. And yes.
You have the frame in mind when you're writing?
Yes. It's all about frame, yes. Yes, I have a frame in mind. I have in mind what is in the frame. Or the question, the question about the framing is decisive for the writing process also. It's quite difficult or almost impossible to write the next scene or the image of the next scene without knowing the image of the last scene. An image in that case means framing. Is it close? Is it far? In a general way. What do you see in order to decide what will you see as the next image?
So to move on to, I guess another question also related to screenplay and the origin of the project is that this film is not an adaptation, but I think the language that you've used is freely inspired by the myth of Oedipus. So I'm wondering if you can talk about how this came about. Like this, I remember hearing you talking about a particular production of the play that was important to you.
Yes, it's true. I saw a theater production of the play when I was I was in my 20s, which stayed in my mind. Images stayed in my mind of this theater production, and after my last film, I was in the mood. Is maybe a wrong word. Yeah, I was in the mood to work with a narrative, with an existing narrative. And when you go back to the myth, you have a narrative, but the narrative cannot be explained. That's why you call it a myth. because things happen and you accept that they happen because you have to accept. But it's not possible to explain. And this is the way I see it, and this is the reason why I then remembered this play, this theater production, and started to work with it.
But you also change the myth in some ways. There are certain alterations and interventions.
Yes, because the myth already exists. There's no reason that I keep it. It exists. It doesn't need me. I can do what I want. I will not kill the myth. The myth is the myth. So I just found out through writing what I wanted to tell and how I wanted to tell, and it was quite clear that it should play now. Or at least, there's quite a long period told in the film, but it should be in the presence, or that now it ends in the presence. I didn't want to make a historical costume film. And yes, I felt through the writing, I felt completely free, at the same time supported somehow through the myth.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious about some of the points in which this departs from the Oedipus myth that we know, and I think there is a sense that he's losing his sight, but the gouging of the eyes, and also his awareness at the end is different in your film versus other versions of the myth that we've encountered.
This question, Oedipus, he's blinding himself, and it was impossible for me to imagine to do this. But why? There are different reasons. The question, if you are able to see, or if you are not able to see, is a very interesting question. And what does it mean that you do not see good, and that you lose your ability to see? And I'm sure it has also to do with the fact that I cannot see good. And there are so many reasons. Actually, I definitely could not imagine to find an image how someone is blinding himself. But also, I did not feel any pressure or necessity to find that image, because you can tell that more step by step through time. You can include the process of getting blind, and this in connection with the love story, that you see someone and you're getting blind. This is what you say about love also, that you love someone and through your love you are not able to see anymore clear. So there are so many aspects of this question of how do you see? I mean, what you see is always influenced through what you want to see. This is quite complex, this question. So I saw a lot of possibilities to feel free to tell what I want.
I wanted to ask about, I guess, locations and place, which is always really important in your films. I remember you talking about how you kind of need to know where you're shooting sometimes before, At what stage did you location scout? Was it before you started writing? Was it while you were writing or after?
No. In that case, it was not at all before. So because so Oedipus was present, so it was clear that I want to shoot in Greece, but I do not Greece good enough in order to know where. So we were starting to search without knowing anything. We were traveling several times. We were searching online a lot with Google Earth, Google Maps. We were scanning all the coasts in order to find the beach. We would then go in again and again during 3 summers. It's also a production question, so you cannot have locations, hours and hours away from each other. So it was a long process, and we did not know before. And it was also a very interesting and beautiful process to discover. I cannot say that I discovered Greece, but I mean, at least I found something out. I saw something.
Maybe I'll ask one more and then we'll open it up. I went back to a Q&A that you did when you were here last for the retrospective, and somebody in the audience had asked a question about music, because there was an interesting use of music in your previous film, I Was at Home, and somebody asked you to comment. And you said something very striking, which is that you only use music when you know that the scene doesn't need it. So I'm curious how that idea comes across in a film that is called music and is so much about music.
Yes. It's connected, what I said, because I think music does not need the film. I mean, music fulfills itself. And if you have music in the film uses the music in order to transport a plus. Something is added which is not shown or cannot be heard through the sound or through the image. So something shall be added. But for me, music is something different. So I had the wish, after making so many films without music or with very less music, or with using in the way I try to explain or describe, to ask myself, where does it come from? I mean, what can be the reason to start to sing? Because I mean, it's incredible that we create music. I mean, it's something incredible. No, I mean, this ability. So I started from that point, and I thought it's pain. I mean, it can be joy, but it's more interesting if it's pain. The music is somehow more interesting if it's pain. So it comes from pain. So what can be the pain? And it can be a deep, or should be, it can be a very deep pain. So then came to this connection.
So I guess I should follow up and ask you to talk about the music that you actually used in the film. That was also a bit of a search to find the right music.
Yes, it was really a long search, because it was a kind of... I'm also very open for music, so that means I can be influenced easily by music. So I heard music. Then I thought, okay, this shall it be. But then 2 weeks later or 3 months later, I thought no. So it was. I was searching a lot and a long time, and then I was. I found Dactyali living in Canada, and I met him. And in the end, there was Dactyali, and there was another musician living in New York at SQ, which I also met. And then I decided, and I was very happy to find Doug, because there were a lot of I thought, how will I manage to really then finish the search, but then with the music of Doug, and then he sent me works which were not already released, but he was working on, and when I heard it, I was quite sure, and I was sure, and this didn't leave me this till now. I'm very happy with it.
All right, let's take some questions from the audience. We have microphones, so maybe we'll start back there. Yeah.
Hi. Thank you for being here, and thank you for presenting this beautiful film. My question is about the use of animals in your film. I noticed that there are so many different animals and having really interesting interactions with the characters. So I would like to, if you can talk about your choice of these different animals in your film. Thank you.
Yes, I'm very interested in animals, and also I'm very and it's very interesting to see the animal beside the human, and to see if the human is as strong as the animal, if it's possible, because the human is always someone who is playing. If it's a non-actor or an actor, that it doesn't make so much difference. And in theater you say, on a stage, if there is an animal, the actors can go. They have no chance. In the film it's a bit different, because you have other possibilities, but and the animals in this film, they came through the script. So in that case, they are very small animals, which are found in Greece, and which could be imagined in the locations we had, like a prison or like a beach. But they all are trained animals, with an animal trainer who came. Quite nice. Because then I just describe what it shall be, and then I wait. Because I do not have the language to talk to the animals. And I somehow hope the trainer has, and they say they have, so I wait.
Let's go in the front right here.
Thanks for being here. I love all your films a lot. I had two questions. One was that, is the music going to be released apart from like the film? And the second question was, it's kind of a silly question, but I just had to ask, what is it about hands that is so fascinating to you?
Hands. And what was the first question?
Is the music going to get released?
Yes. Meanwhile, it's released, but sang by Dactyali and not by Aliocha. But meanwhile, it's released, and there's an album, the last album of Dactyali. You hear the songs, and yes, and the hands. I mean the hands. I mean the hands. So, if I maybe one possibility to describe is to connect to the other question, which or the other topic we just had with the animal. The hand can lie less than the face. It's more than, yeah. So if you see the hand has less opportunities to express lies. It's so an open hand or a closed, or the angle from which you film it, or you have so many opportunities, and it's somehow always close to truth, I think.
Yeah. Sorry, all the way at the back. Sorry to make you go all the way back.
Thanks. Hi, big fan, and thank you for being here. I really enjoy your work. I wanted to ask, it felt extremely theatrical, and there were a lot of moments of stillness and tableau, and I wanted to know the inspiration and, I guess, behind that choice.
The question was about the silence and
Theatrical tableau.
I don't. For me, they are not so theatrical. I think this expression theatrical. It's connected to the silence. In the moment the people do not talk, you are so focused on what you see because you do not have any dialogues. But I mean, in that film, they only talk if there is really something to say. So this has nothing to do with normal situations, because normally you talk even if there's nothing to say, because you just talk. You use talking in order to exist somehow, but there's nothing to say. Nevertheless, you talk. And when you in the script, there were a bit more dialogues, a bit, but really a bit, but this bit was decisive for me in order to understand that already this was too much. So they only talk if there is something to say. And from that comes the expression, I think, of theoretical, theatralisch.
Theatricality.
Yes, but actually it's not. What you see, it's not theatrical, I think.
Yeah, right there.
Hi, thank you. This is the first of your works that I've seen, and I was really struck by your style and the audacity that you have to, stay with a still subject or really gaze at something for an extended period of time. I think more than most filmmakers or storytellers would have the braveness to do. So I was kind of curious to ask, how do you conceptualize time in your works?
What is the verb?
Like, how do you think of time in the work?
Conceptual. Okay.
Like duration.
Yeah. I see. So when I'm writing, I have a feeling of the duration, but actually the decision happens during the shooting. How long a shot takes, and also, I mean, the interesting thing is then, regarding your question, how long the non-movement in the shot takes. And I think this is something very interesting, because it's the profound question of time. Because the less movement you have, the more you feel the time, because you cannot stop the time continues. This is film, that the time continues, but if you have no movement, but the camera is still rolling and you have still 24 images in a second, but there is no movement. So this, I think, is very intense to find out how long does that take. And this is a very realistic approach to my way of working, because you can describe it as very artificial, what I'm doing, but how time continues, this is very, very realistic, because it takes a lot of, maybe there are movements which take a lot of time, and not to cut them and just to wait. This is something I think very interesting. For me, very interesting. In the process of shooting, to stand there and the camera is rolling. It's a pity that it's not film anymore, because then you felt it more intense, but still you feel that the camera is rolling, but nothing is moving. It's so strange. So.
The other thing your films do with time is not just about duration, but it's like omission of time, is how much time can pass in a cut, which is years or decades sometimes.
Yeah, but this is very, very strong connected. The one thing does not work. I do not know what works, but it's deeply connected, because in the film you definitely cut. You normally cut, and the possibility of a cut. This is fantastic. So and what this cut can be is based, or is a consequence of the duration of the shot. Yeah. So this belongs together, and this is the making of the film.
This hasn't come up. I'm just going to end with one last question, because I actually love to hear you talk about just how you conceptualized. I'm very struck by the entire design of the prison, the space, and also the uniforms. If you can say a little bit about how you thought of those outfits, and this platform sandals are also an important part of that section of the film.
Yes, I love to talk about this because I love costume. And costume is very, very decisive for me. And I work with a costume designer I know since long. So this question of the prison costume was very interesting, because the first question was, how do they walk? And I wanted, this walk was very important, because the walking was already introduced in the film through the blessed feet. And so I thought, he does not need to be fixed somehow, or to be, what is the word? He has blessed feet when he's in prison, so there is no reason to fix him, because he anyway cannot run away, because his feet are blessed. But how are the other ones then? How do the other ones walk? And then I came to this idea, which it's actually, I mean, which was also in the theater play we was talking in the very beginning. So this Greek plateaus, koturne is the German word. It exists also in English now. It's yes. So I thought, okay, if they walk on this coturnes, they cannot run. But at the same time, it's not the same if they would be in chains, because the psychological aspect of being in a prison, being not free anymore, is combined because, okay, they cannot run, but also they are not allowed to run. They do not dare to run. They do not dare to get rid of the shoes, or they do only get rid of the shoes in a specific situation in the shower, which is also not allowed. It's a moment just. Do I make myself clear? It was very, yeah, when I had these ideas that they walk on these shoes, I thought, yes, this is good. I can use that. And then for the rest of the costumes, I mean, it's close to fashion. But this is fantastic. I mean, fashion is very interesting. So this shirts, for example, they look like Margiela, but it's not. It's underwear of Greek workers. It's wool. And when you work on the field outside, it takes the sweat, and it's a very, I mean, it's a kind of archaic clothes. So this whole process I really liked a lot, finding this costume, and that they are so visible. The different physics of them, and that they are so limited in their walk. So you see their walk more precise because they are so limited. So this was an interesting thing.
I'm afraid we are out of time, but I want to thank you so much for being with us and for the film. Thank you.